Hello, hello. I'm going a little loopy here. This is taking me a while. I think being in my apartment is throwing me off because I'm usually doing the videos outside in my car, things of that nature all over the city. So being in my house is throwing me off. I'm like an hour into this because you know I don't edit, don't know. Let's see if this is the one. Now, we're here to talk about three main events. There was a lot of fights that happened this past week, starting really on Thursday. There's about a good five combat sporting events. I watched three of them. I made predictions for two of the main events. I got both picks. But we're going to go ahead and talk about three. So first up, the one I did not make a prediction for happened this past Thursday. This was a Bellator championship fight, so that's why I want to talk about it. We saw Patricio Pitbull, the featherweight champion, take on Pedro Carvalho. I know I'm saying that wrong. Excuse me for that one. We saw that. This ended in the first round. So I have to give credit to Pedro for coming out. He came out with a vengeance, with some fervor. He took the center of the octagon quick. He got on him quick. He was first. He landed some nice leg kicks, some kicks to the face. He had a very even offense. He was going to head, body, feet. So he was kind of attacking everything with the punches and with the kicks, anything that he could do to push Patricio back and get him catch him off guard, get him off his game. Patricio was very calm, very measured. He had a lower offensive output, but he had better angles. He was a bit tighter. Pedro was very loose. He was wide. He was open, kind of chaotic and not in a controlled way. So, but again, he was trying to get on top of him. He left himself a little bit open, throwing like a lazy punch and got caught with a straight left that stunned him. This allowed Patricio to grab that neck and try to get a guillotine choke, but they ended up in a nice little scramble on the ground. Pedro did manage to get back up without taking too much damage, and they're back on their feet again. Again, he took the center of the octagon and tried to again jump on Patricio. Sloppy, kind of wide open. Patricio landed with a two-piece that knocked him down. Refs stopped the fight. I don't even think he fully recovered from being knocked kind of silly from the first good connection that Patricio landed. I do agree with the stoppage. He was just going to take more shots. He wasn't fully into it. Again, too wide, too open. Patricio too tight with his offense, good angle. So this was a good win for Patricio. Oh, excuse me. And still, the Bellator featherweight champion, Patricio Pitbull. Great win. Who would you like to see him fight next? Now, on to the first of the fights that I did make a prediction for. This is for the main event of UFC Fight Night. I believe it's 14, and I chose RDA, Rafael dos Anjos, to beat Paul Felder. Now, this was a last-minute replacement. I did these picks, of course, on Instagram and Twitter and even Facebook on this one. I did it the day of, which was yesterday. So, again, you have to follow me everywhere to get all my picks. Last minute, Paul Felder took this fight on 5 days' notice. It was supposed to be Islam Makhachev. Someone let me know why he had to pull out of the fight. Was it a COVID thing? What was it there? There's a couple of people who missed weight. Paul Felder had some words for that at the end of this fight because he's like, if I can cut 22 pounds in 5 days, y'all with the full training camp can make weight. And he's so right about that. So 22 pounds in 5 days. I saw a video of him on Thursday and him just looking so sunk in from the weight cut and just looking like, Skeletor basically from that weight cut. And the way he was talking, he's like, I took this as a big opportunity to get back into the higher upper echelon of this game since I've been commentating for a while. RDA is a former champ, but he also said, I'm a warrior and everything, and if I get in there on 5 days notice against a former champion, it's not like I'm gonna go down in stature, like I'm not gonna lose anything for that because it's 5 days notice and it's RDA. So when you start kind of talking and already kind of giving those reasons to why I might lose before the fight, that's going to make me lean towards your opponent. So that's a big reason why I chose RDA. This was back at 155, so RDA was coming back to 155. Let's go ahead and talk about the fight. RDA, they both came out. Paul Felder, I knew would be more powerful with his striking. He had some nice kicks. He had some nice hands. He looked really sharp with his boxing, actually. Looked really sharp, really crisp. And so it was RDA who actually started wrestling first. He got clocked with a couple of shots, a couple of good leg kicks, and I think he said, let me go ahead and rest on that fourth degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and my super underrated wrestling, which is what I kind of got wrong. I thought that Paul Felder might be resorting to the wrestling if he got in trouble on the feet. It was the other way around. And once RDA started to wrestle Paul, he was able to get, I believe, 6 takedowns throughout this fight. It did go 5 rounds. He was able to get 6 takedowns at least throughout this fight. Some substantial takedowns where he was able to hold him down, ground and pound, and all of that. And once that happened, you saw Paul Felder's gas tank really just start to zip, 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 like he was training for a triathlon. But that's a different movement motion than wrestling, fighting, and all of that. He looked really sharp with the stand-up game, but even he said he hadn't been in a wrestling gym or been on the mats for 4 months. So once RDA started wrestling, his body wasn't prepared for that, and you really started to see his cardio go. And once that started to go, RDA started to pull away with this fight. He even opened him up with blood. I think they were both opened up, actually, because they actually both started banging. Their 4th and 5th rounds, they started banging. And this was actually a really exciting fight. RDA pulled out, I believe, not even pulled out. He won the fight. It was clear. However, one of the judges gave it to Paul Felder. And Paul Felder, it would have been those first or second rounds. That 5th round, towards the end of it, Paul Felder actually managed to make it more competitive towards the end of it, but I still kind of gave that 5th round to RDA, although it was very close. Either way, I don't really see how they gave that fight to Paul Felder. I thought it was pretty clear. So either way, it was a split decision in favor of RDA, but it shouldn't have been. So got that pick. He's back in the 155 division. He looked good. Would you like to see him fight next? He's probably going to be top 10 ranked. Who would you like to see RDA fight next? 36 years old. Now, on to the next main event that I made a pick for, and I got this pick as well. This was in boxing. This was the and still the WBO welterweight champion and arguably pound for pound best in the world, Terrance "Bud" Crawford. And he successfully defended his title against Kell Brooks. Now, I'm so glad I caught that this fight was even happening like 2 days ago. Yeah, I love me some Terrance Crawford. I'm trying to get back on my boxing, but I love me some Terrance Crawford. So let's go ahead and get into this fight. This fight lasted 4 rounds, y'all. You know, Terrance is kind of a slow starter, which I hate. That's what we saw here. You might even been able to give Kell Brooks those first 2 rounds, because he did. He jumped on him. Was pressing the pace. He landed first. He was fighting behind that jab quite well, landing some nice shots on Terrance's face. So yeah. The first 2 rounds you could probably give to Kell Brooks. The 3rd round is when Terrance Crawford started to not only return fire, but to really move forward himself, initiate himself. I think that Kell Brooks had issues with the length of Terrance Crawford, especially once Terrance started to fight back. It just seems like Terrance, someone give me the measurements there. I believe he has the reach advantage. Even if he doesn't, it definitely looked like he did, even though Kell Brooks was clearly the bigger man. So once Terrance Crawford started to fight back, we had a game. In that 3rd round, I think he might have been able to take that 3rd round from Kell Brooks, although it was very close. Now on to the 4th round, which is where this ended. It ended actually fairly quickly in the 4th round. Again, they're going back and forth again, and I believe it was more of a jab. It was like a right jab that actually hit, not here. It hit like right here, like on the eye. So not on the temple, not on the jaw, but it was enough to stumble Kell back into kind of went through the ropes, came back, and then here comes, once Terrance gets you a little hurt, he gets nasty. Seems like he can't miss us. So he met him at them ropes right when he came back in from the outside. Clocked him a couple more times. Ref got in between, did the whole count. He made it through the count, so he let him go again. And then Terrance had him in the corner, landed, I believe it was like a 2-piece, and knocked him back again, another couple shots, and the ref stopped the fight. TKO victory. Great victory. He actually stood there and stood him down a bit afterwards. So someone let me know, was there a lot of trash talking that happened for this one? Because again, I didn't realize this fight was happening until a couple of days ago. But the way he stared him down afterwards, it took him a minute to kind of break. Oh, no, I won. Okay, good job. Let's be sportsmanlike now. So let me know what happened there leading up. So great win for Terrance Crawford. I got that pick. Of course, we're all talking about him and Errol Spence Jr. Will that happen? What needs to happen for that to happen? If you think it should be somebody else, let me know who. Let me know how you're doing all your picks. Let me know any fights you watched. There was, again, at least 5 different combat sporting events happening this past week. So go ahead and talk to me about all of it, everything, but especially the 3 fights that I broke down. And follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where I did these picks on. You gotta follow me everywhere. Subscribe, like, talk to me, take care, and goodbye.